Yes. There's sound. Feel free to everyone to going to play a little video, and you can just listen, and you can do some stretches or whatever feels good for you and your body and mind as we start our time together.
So welcome everybody. Good to see you. So instead of doing body check-in, we watched a video today about love and universal love. I really like it. It's such a wonderful video and song. For the check-in, we thought about just sharing how you're doing with the program, how you're doing, just a quick check-in so we can connect and listen to everybody's voice. Who would like to start? How about Camille? You can try if we can hear you now.
Can you hear
Yes.
me now? Okay, all right. So the stars are with me. So how am I? I guess I'm just over jet lag. Yesterday, I was desperately trying to get into class, thinking we were today. That just tells you, and everybody around me confirmed it was today. We were on the wrong day. I just did a 5-day jump in San Francisco and closed a very big chapter of my life. I moved everything out of a storage, which was, I was exposed to price gouging, and my storage cost me 5 times what it cost me when I first purchased the rent. And so I moved everything out of the United States after 40 years of a love affair with a declining country. And so anyway, so I'm very jet lagged. Well, no, this is the first day I'm not jet lagged, but yesterday I was trying to get into class. I was really early. And I'm doing great. I love this course. It's already opening my mind on a bunch of things I can definitely benefit from. I haven't answered any of the surveys yet because I'm just trying to be succinct about it. So that's it. But I will do it before the course is over.
Take your time. Hey, who would like to go next? Just lift your hand. Avi, yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah, finally I made it this week to the class, I guess. Sorry for last week because I was a bit occupied since I was kind of leaving Oroville and coming back to my house. So now I'm currently at home. So it's pretty nice. The summer was not the easiest thing to handle in outside Oroville. So that's the only thing. I mean, with the course, I feel like the last session was pretty intense. I feel that because I took it in this week. So it was really intense. What do you call the subject and everything. So
Yeah.
I was also trying to look through the live sessions. So I'm still going through it a bit. And yeah, I
Wonderful.
mean, I'm doing pretty great, except for the hot summer here.
Yeah.
I'm doing very well. Mostly, I'm
Thank you.
staying indoors. That's the only thing.
Okay, who would like to go next? How about Susanna?
Hi everyone. I'm good. I'm again on the other side of Germany enjoying the summer. I just came back from a long stroll with a friend of mine in the woods. It's so nice right now. It's the perfect time. Right now in Germany, I really enjoy it. And about the course, I'm super happy. I took it because I still feel it's like the right thing to do, and it's also like professionally the right thing to do for me right now. And yeah, I'm yeah. I took the lessons, and I feel it's just the right thing for me right now, and I'm looking forward to get more involved and find ways to really use it, and yeah, let the roots more grow more deeply, because yeah, it's just the way I want to work. And I already do it, and now I have the confirmation, so that's a pretty good feeling. yeah, unfortunately for today, it's my last session for me because next week I'm facilitating a workshop by myself at the exact same time. I was hoping there were not enough participants, but there are like 30 people, and I cannot say, okay, I'm not doing it. So yeah, I will enjoy the day.
Congratulations that you have a lot of participants.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's kind of a smiling eye and a sad eye, as we say in German. I don't know if it's the same in English. But I'm sure that our paths will cross again. Odette, I will reach out for you. I do have some questions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Yes.
So I'm good, and I'm looking forward. Sorry.
Yeah. We leave a little time at the end to say goodbye because Ren is also leaving today, so we have two people. Yeah. Okay.
So that's I'm good. I'm happy to be here again, and that's it for now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ren, would you like to continue?
Sure. So I've really enjoyed the course so far. I feel like a deep connection to the material and to both the US facilitators. Thank you. I think it's been awesome. Just your warmth and compassion and ability. It's hard to engage folks on Zoom often, so that's a skill, and the material's been engaging. I've been trying to utilize it in my practice a lot. I like how it connects to social work a lot, which I'm a social worker, a therapist. So I've been able to bring it into practice and bring it to my agency already, some of the material. So that's been nice. I think the struggle for me is the homework. So I've been trying to go through all the homework, but also it's the beginning of my workday here. So it's hard. Like I feel like sometimes at night I'm like, oh my God, I gotta cram to try to get this all before the next class. So for me, I think it's more of like balancing full-time work and additional course material, but it's nice because you can go back and you can reflect on it. And so I pop back to different modules and you can go back into the program. So that's nice, and pull the handouts. And so sometimes I feel bad if I don't complete all the homework for the lesson, but I do my best in full transparency.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Anuja, would you like to go next?
Thank you. I will echo what Camille said, that I'm finally really getting into the course and how it flows and how all the pieces connect to each other. So there's a lot in the course. There's a lot of language, details, and putting it all together into one picture, it really takes some time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Stefan, how are
Hi,
you doing?
everyone.
Are you
First of
getting
all, I'm
on?
so glad to be back. I'm back from a marathon of organizing an event and overstretching and falling sick in the middle, and then another 5-day course of training. And then on Monday, I just collapsed. So I'm now recovering from this. Regarding the course, I've been trying to catch up with inputs, and I've been kind of looking through it. Where are we? What is this doing? And yeah, it doesn't fully fall into place for me yet, but at the same time, on Friday morning, I'm going to meet a colleague, and we're going to work with an organization, and I imagine to use a lot of these tools and this approach. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think then it will all fall into place because many tools are not new to me, and it's just how they're put together. And yeah, there's a lot of background that's to be learned. So I learn in self-study most, and I'm curious about today. Thank you.
But if you have questions, I'm sure you can ask Paul or Robert or me or Viveka. We're all here, I mean, for questions as well.
I would
if you
love to
need.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Alena, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I have a lot of work for this period because of my pedagogical work. and now it's time for students. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm very interested in the course. I keep on going. Like on this week, I'm on pause because I don't have much attention to go. So today I'm here. I'm very glad to see you, and I think I will try to follow it, to follow in it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I hand over to Viveka for our overview for today.
Yes. All right. So let's bring us to the same page. And let me just get these slides up. Okay. So for some reason, I can't see you right now. I don't know what my settings is, but hopefully that is actually not the slide I want to start with. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So we're just doing our little check-in, and I'm gonna give you just a little brief overview of where we are in the course outline and where we're going to focus on today. And Adette is going to add a few approaches that she'll share in addition to what was presented in the Learn World material. And then we'll do a practice as a group on a using consent-based decision making. So we have a little idea how we can do that among us. And then we go some frameworks for action. So how do we take sort of the decision making into action? And then we save some time for checkout. So that's our plan for today. So just again, kind of bringing the course together, like the overall overview of the course. We started with a self-awareness and responsiveness, or we had that for the first few sessions on who am I as a leader, and how do I express and listen to others and connect with myself, my inner dimensions, as well as how I express them. That was where we applied that noticing tool of the matrix. We moved into the shared purpose and vision. How do we, as a group, converge on a vision and mission together? And then we spoke last week about protocols for action, collaborative action, and that's very focused on the core design principles, that Lynn Ostrom originated on how do we help structure ourselves in both sort of how the group works for the individuals and how the individuals work for the group. And today we're going to move into our last teaching module, which is collective action and co-evolution. Really, what it means is how do we make decisions together as a group and move ourselves toward action. And in all of these instances, we have the three processes of inheritance, in this case, kind of applied culturally, socially, of variation, selection, and retention. So we have a variation of behaviors and goals that we can choose from. We select one or a couple, and we then practice enacting them and repeating them. And that's what builds retention. So for session 6, the material you were offered in Learn Worlds and Paul's videos focused on 5 different approaches to decision making. And they go from autocratic to consensus. And so you've been introduced to all of these. And just to kind of give you just a brief overview of them. Autocratic, they go in this kind of range. They go from sort of individual decision making into group-based decision-making, and the further and a more inclusive decision-making, right? So consensus being the most, yeah.
Sorry, at least for me, there's 3 black bars on the slide that I'm seeing.
Same here.
3 black bars. That's
You
strange.
see where it says balance? Yeah, I'm still there. Where it says balancing efficiency effectiveness, there's a little black thing on top.
Okay, I'm not seeing that. Let me ask.
Yeah, it moved. The black bar moved down now.
Move down, yeah.
Ah, that's my, okay, you know what, that's good. Thanks for letting me know. That might be, that's sharing setting that comes up.
Yeah.
I am not sure why that is, why that's showing up, but I'll try another way. I'll start again and see if that gets refreshed. Okay, do you see it now?
Yeah, it's still there. We never had that before. It's really strange. But
yep, and it's moving around, that black bar.
yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's if I move this thing. Yeah. So there's something going on with the settings here on my computer. Well, does it interfere, or can you see most of the slide?
Now it's, I think. Can you
Maybe if you move the long black bar all the way to the top, then it's less intrusive.
Ah, okay. I wonder how I can.
Yeah, that should be okay, I think.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. I mean, I guess I would have maybe like restart our Zoom. That's my only. I could do that if it's really interfering.
I think that as long as you're able to control it, if it blocks any text, we can let you know. And
Oh, now it's all black.
Yeah, now it's blocking the whole page.
Okay, because I was, yeah, so all right, so let's just hold it there for now then. Okay. So this is just the kind of range of decision-making approaches that you were introduced to. So, and when we go more toward consensus, consent-based consensus, so that involves everyone in the group and it also tends to involve more buy-in and takes more time, requires more skills from the group and together to arrive at decisions and commitment, but it can also produce then more kind of long-term satisfaction in the group. So consultative is the advice-based, when usually it's one person who owns the decision but consults with others in the group or the company, the organization, can be more effective, efficient, and it can help kind of improve the quality of decision. Voting is effective short term for or quick decisions, majority rule. It can lead to some dissatisfaction, and usually we have the majority. And then the consent-based decision making, I'm going to go into further. And the main difference between consent-based and consensus is that in consensus, we expect 100% or we aim for 100% agreement in the group. And so that can it's a longer process usually. Consent-based is where we make decisions that have no reasoned or like significant objections. So with consensus, we all focus on what's our preference as a group. And we all want to come to an agreement with that. In consent-based, we focus on what is tolerable for our group. So there, it's the range of tolerance that we orient toward. So you present a proposal. Someone had a question?
Yes, I guess I'm trying to kind of capture, would it be fair to say that when you do consent, in a way you agree to disagree on things, like you can tolerate it, you don't like it, but you agree to disagree and move on?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. You can think of it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little example afterwards, so you have maybe more of an idea what is meant by it.
Yeah. So yeah, so it has an interesting history. Originally, actually, I think from the Quaker tradition, and in the mid hundreds, and the sociocracy has really developed this further into these sort of circles of decision making. But the idea is you present a proposal, clarify questions around it, gather reactions. You might amend the proposal based on the group input. You test for consent, and then resolve objections. And so the testing here is that question: is this a decision I can live with? Is it tolerable for us, for me? It might not be my ideal, suggestion or approach, but it's something that's decent or tolerable, in a tolerable range. So you need some time here to resolve sometimes like those differences, and how do we arrive at this, at something that's tolerable for us as a group. Do you want to pick up from that?
Mhm.
Odette?
Yeah, when I started our community-supported agriculture, I was looking for a different way of organizing, not the normal voting and autocracy that's usually used in associations in Germany. And I found this sociocracy, and I learned all about it. And when I had my first experience of consent decision making, it was like, oh my God, I want to learn this. This is like a miracle. So there was this group of 8 people, and every person listened. Nobody had to fight to be heard. And the wisdom of the group showed up after a while. And that's why I did all this training about sociocracy and consent decision making. And I thought I would like you to experience it today, briefly. Many people in holacracy use it as well. And some people have used it now, meanwhile, a little bit quick and dirty. Just say if you have a objection. But if you listen to the group properly and go around and listen and go around, it's really amazing. Has any of you experienced consent-based decision making? Stefan, you know it? Anybody else? I can't see your hands. No? So maybe it will be quite interesting. Stefan, where did you experience it, may I ask?
In many, many ways in the community in Orville, in many decisions that were made. And I'm always surprised, especially in Germany, but also in other places, how default it seems to be that there's a majority rule.
Yeah.
So when you have suggestions in the room, somebody comes up with who votes for it, and then you have 12 people saying yes, 8 people are surprised, they don't know what to say, and 5 people say and it's as if we couldn't gather more information than only what's your preference. So I really love this way of turning it around and saying, let's minimize the objections and let's talk about it. If somebody has a very strong objection, and when we make it visible to the team, it so often turns out that 70 or 80% are like, I'm not against it. This might not be my favorite, but let's carry on. I'm willing to go ahead. I don't want to be in the way. And to name that and to make that visible is so helpful for groups, rather than having this discussion between 2 or 3 people going on why we should do it or shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Avi, you put your hand up?
I think I have similar insights like Stefan, because during my master's, I lived in a sustainable, like a community, like a student community, which works across like this sustainable living. And it's only inclusive for students. So in that case, we were like, it diverses from bachelor's to a PhD students. You know, there's a very different age gaps, like age differences as well. So in that community, there's like 30 houses with 6 people in each houses. So everyone has a house leader who has to participate in the community meeting. So to understand what are the needs for the community and what shall we do and what shall we not do and stuff. So every month there is this meeting and everyone has to participate, at least one member from the house. So each time when you go with and there is also a kind of a leader to the community. So he governs the things that are required for sustaining the community, right? But it also is included with another student housing association. So whatever we take decisions as, It has to be said to them, and then they help us implement these things. For example, in winter, there is this one thing where we have to close the pipes, outdoor pipes, because it freezes. And there was kind of a one time there was this whole discussions about that we take out this pipe. So during the summer, this pipe is the one that gives the water to the gardens for other houses. So we had like this huge discussions for like 2-3 months straight to have this consent based whether we really need to remove the pipes or not, but everyone is kind of against it in some ways, but also in technically it has to be gone out because it might cause a lot of structural damages to the building. So in that way, it was a bit difficult to get to a consent to understand why this has to be done. So that was my experience of the consent-based approaches. And either way, it's a lot of people joining, and like some people come very late, and then they miss all the things. And at one point, we even took a decision, and then someone came like 10 minutes later, and then, hey, I was never in this part of this thing, and you never got my feedback. So it's just that the experience of participating in this, it's really yeah, it was really a subjective experience in that case. So that was my
it's
experience in this
important to have
particular
a facilitator for it, and the group should not be too big for consent. So I would say
okay.
at the most 12 people, because otherwise it takes too long. There are other methods for bigger groups. I think group size is also sometimes really something we have to keep in mind. Camille, what you put your hand up?
Yeah, just quickly, two observation. I think that consensus does slow down the process, and we don't tend to give the time that it needs. And as I said in my comment on the discussion in the course, is when you slow it down, it gives people time to diffuse their emotions, and that's one big thing. But the other thing is that which I just came to mind now as I look at it, it seems to me that because in the end, whether you agree because you agree or you agree to disagree, you have a cognitive dissonance element in there. I have agreed. We're not going to rehash this. Let's move on. So I think you gain time that way. So, but it just occurred to me, there's this cognitive dissonance part. And as a behavior analyst, I'm used to looking at the desired behavior and the undesired behavior and see how we're going to get one to control, how we control both. But we never really look at emotions. And here you get the emotions involved, you flesh them out, and then you make commitment. So that's brilliant.
It's really important to distinguish between consensus and consent. Consent is in fact a little bit quicker if the group has learned it. And
yeah, but even if you're not fully if you're not in consensus, but you somehow agree to move forward, you can say, okay, I can bear this. I don't like it maybe fully. We need to agree to disagree, but I can move on with this. And so I think once you have that commitment, right? So that's where you also have cognitive dissonance. You've made a commitment, you're going to move on with that. And so I think that's very powerful.
I tell you a little example because it shows what consent does. We had this discussion about childcare for the people who want to work on the soil in our little farm. And we asked, are there any objections to have childcare? And first person says no objections, second person no objections, and then the fourth person said, I have objections. Childcare is not a good idea because then we have not enough people doing the work on the soil. So everybody was, okay, what are we going to do? And then we did a round. Anybody have any ideas? And then they had the idea of asking some younger people who do not want to work on the soil on the farm if they want to do the childcare, play with the children. And so this agreement got onto a higher level, and everybody was much happier than if we had just said, but we need childcare. Of course we do. And just because you, one person, have a silly idea. And listening to the objection sometimes brings the decision onto a better level.
Well, you create an opportunity for variation, and
Yeah.
then you broaden the scope. That's brilliant. Yes.
And yeah,
It's nice. Thank you for the example. It's so nice to see that in action like that. You really bring it to. Thank you.
it was amazing. It was really, at first I thought, I was a facilitator. I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And the group solved it. And what they always fed back to me was, it's so good to know that I will be heard if I want to, because my turn is surely coming. So that's also really very good for more introverted people. So that's just
Right.
the little example about consent.
So this is one of the, yeah. So I think what you just mentioned there, I just want to emphasize that because I think it's that people have a chance to, they know they will be heard, even if they don't like it, it's not their preference, and they may even object, but they have a place to express that. That's really one, and then we may need to practice a little bit how we express ourselves, right? That's that early part of our course. The other, and then and so we do the rounds. So the rounds are really important, that everyone knows that they're going to have a chance to be heard.
And I have a
that
negative example as well. In my Psychologists for Future group, we had consent decision making in a advice group, and there were 12 people. Meanwhile, there are 50 or 60 people, and you can't do rounds anymore. And they just nod. No objection, no objection. It's like, I always say it's like the Communist Party. Sorry to say that, but it's like, yeah, something like this, And yeah, it's not helpful. For bigger groups, you need different decision-making processes. And I have two which are not included in Paul's
material.
But I talked to him and he said it's good I can introduce it in this module. And the first one is called, which one have you first? Catalysis, I think. Catalysis design. This is actually created by Germans, 2 German people, and it's to foster culture of shared learning and responsive adaptive evolution by asking what does the system need right now. And it's quite a neat technology, because you have you have certain facilitators who design the process for the decision making. So you have the process and the content separated. So they look at strategic decisions, for example. Strategic decisions are the decisions that affect everybody in the organization. Everybody is somehow affected by it. For example, if we design a purpose. So we would call in a catalysis design people, and they would organize a process so everybody can get involved in this decision. And when we have structural decisions, that means one or more groups are affected by the decision, then we also can do a catalysis design. And it means always the people who are affected by the decision take the decision, not anybody hierarchical up in the organization, but the people who are living with this. And the everyday decisions, they don't need catalyst facilitators. They just decide by themselves, maybe in content, using now my words. Consent decision making, exactly. So this is quite a new approach we're using in Psychologists for Future now, and it's a lot used by people who use agile work. Does it say anything to you, agile work? Yeah. So that's one method which I really, really like, because it enables us to go away from hierarchical systems. Then the next method is called systemic consenting. I'm probably, Stefan, you know this? Systemic consenting.
Yes, I love it.
And it's designed by Austrian people. Susanna, you know it as well? Systemic consenting? No? Okay. So these are two methods from the German-speaking community. And the systemic consenting looks at resistance. Like we had this for our community-supported agriculture, we wanted to choose a name. And some people wanted to call it roots for all, the others wanted to call it digging in the soil, and the other wanted to call it Lake Constance, anything. And usually that would have given quite a big discussion. And if we had voted on it, then some people would have won and the others would have been frustrated. So we tried systemic consenting, which reduces polarization and majority domination, because you can just say, can you show the next graphic picture? It's not showing, Viveka.
Not showing?
Yes. So you have the problem, and you have lots of proposals like these names for the project, and then people can do a scoring. They score the resistance. So if they have no resistance to the name, they put 0 points, and if they have a high resistance, they put like 10 points, and then the computer will calculate and the proposal with the least resistance is then chosen, and it's always like that. People are happy with the result. Would you agree, Stefan? Do you have experienced as well?
Yes, and sometimes there's somebody who's really against it, but then one can talk about it, and that's still a possibility.
Yeah.
And they might decide to not go with it, but that's also okay then.
Yeah. So these are two methods that are possible.
Just to dip in a little bit here, what I also like about this approach is, or what stands out to me, is that again we practice our tolerance range and less of our sort of what I must have. And here it's scored on a scale 0 to 10, right? So you also practice kind of maybe not, how much do I dislike this? How much do I like it? And that's also pretty good for our minds and especially reducing polarity. Yeah, I see I have a lot of your chats. There's something with the screen sharing that obviously isn't working here today.
Becca, will it be useful for all of us to exit and come back?
We have only one more slide, so let's just
Okay.
I think that what I would need to do is we need to restart the Zoom meeting, and that in my mind, the calculation there of time, and so we have just one more slide. So let's just go with it for now, if that's okay.
Can I say one more sentence about this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
What I love about it is normally when people think about preference, they might think, okay, I'm clever now. We have 5 options, and I give everything 0, and then sorry, the other way around. 0 is no objection, and the rest I give 10s. So I've just clearly stated my preference, but I always make it transparent in the beginning. If you do that and your option is not chosen, then you have thrown away your voting for the others. So it really makes sense for people to say, okay, now I really start thinking not only what do I want, but really what would be less objection than other things. I really like that.
Yeah.
That would be less aversive. Yeah.
Can you just read what it says after results, proposal? What is it after that?
Results.
Down there it says proposal with least resistance is chosen. So
okay, thank you.
Right, it's just you have the German the German picture there, so we just translated it briefly. You calculate and everyone need a different proposal. You rate them, right, on the scale, and 0 has no resistance, 10 high, and so then you create an average for each proposal, and the proposal with the least resistance is the one that wins, is chosen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're just thinking for us here now today, how we can bring this into our group. Yeah, go ahead, Odette.
No, I wanted to hand over to you.
Okay. So here we were thinking of how can we practice this together as a group, and we have one last meeting together, and that meeting is intended as a place for us to review the course material, address any sort of questions, integrate it, and celebrate together the completion of the course. So we were thinking, how could we get together and all of you, pitch in your ideas? How would you like our last session to be structured, and what would you like us to include in the last session, and for maybe activities to do? So we propose that you each think about this a little bit in small breakout rooms, come together, and then as a large room, you share your proposals, and we do. Odette will guide us in rounds to see if we can come up with a consent-based decision group for our group. So now I'm going to stop the sharing here. Hopefully, a little bit more, no more black bars for a moment, and okay.
Are you ready to try out something with us? Good. Wonderful.
Good. So we will so really we would just want to hear your suggestions and proposals for how would we structure our last meetings. What would seem relevant for you? What are some topics you'd like to have included, and for what maybe some activities? What would be the
Even
goal?
people who are not going to be there, you can still have ideas for us.
Yeah. Stefan?
Yeah, I think what would help me would be something like concrete cases. How can all this be applied in real? Maybe giving a case that you have facilitated, like I don't know, working with groups or organizations, and then maybe asking.
Going into the ideas, we want you to go into breakups. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah, I thought
get
we
the
are
ideas.
just a few people here, so I thought it was happening here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, to make it. Sorry, I'm not sure. Did we get that? Did we get your question, Stefan? That
It
so
was an idea already.
I'm already sharing, so I hold my horses and share
I
that
see
in the
you're already
breakout.
sharing. I see. I got it. Okay. All right. So let me set up.
We're a small enough group. Can we not share fully here?
Okay. Should we just do it here? And
Yeah.
we could also we could do it that way. We can try. We want to come up with a. So what I'll do, I'll take some notes and I'll in the chat and I'll post them. And so we have already one idea from Stefan. So
a case.
Case presentation.
We introduced Prosocial as a complete project. Did I get you right?
For example, and then to kind of ask questions in between, so we can start thinking, how would we approach it? How would we use the approach, and what will be suitable here? And then you can share not the solution, but how you did it. That would be one option. Or to just bring up a case and say, what could we do with this? I know this group I would like to work with. How could we approach this? Yeah. These might be two different suggestions.
Yeah, one would be a case from you where we assist you, and the other would be some of our experiences.
So who would vote for it?
Any other ideas what we could do? I mean, the task is also to celebrate. And yeah.
Well, I think maybe it's also like in the previous module, we had something on like the community gardens, and we had to do like a whole, like sketch diagrams with giving ratings to the 6 core design principles, I guess. So we could also come up with like imaginary case study where we participate as stakeholders to come up with like more of a shared values, vision and stuff. We could like structure it into times, let's say 10 minutes for each module, and see whether we can come up with a collaborative solution for an imaginary problem. Just
You
role
mean
playing
uh,
ourselves.
like a role play more? Yeah?
Yeah,
It's,
more or less.
we pretend to be a company, a small organization. Okay.
Something
So
like that.
role play would be also an idea.
Like
Yeah.
more of a practical based approach to understand what we have learned all these weeks,
Okay.
because it's now very theoretical and we have different stuff and we talk about our experience. But this could also be something that would be nice to come up, because we have people from various nationalities and different cultures and everything. So it would be really nice to also see how everyone thinks and coming up with a nice solution for a problem, or an imaginary problem in that case.
So we are an international business for bringing Prosocial into the world and need to make decisions. Something like that. Okay. Any other ideas? Camille.
So I mean, the video in module 5 about it was from 2021, and at the time he was looking for people to become facilitators and researchers. So I'm curious to hear more about what has happened since, what milestones you've reached as a world, a prosocial world, and what's the vision for the future right now, and how does that, how does that work out? Just curious.
Any more ideas?
I'm writing them all down here and I'll share them all with you. I'm going to have all the proposals. Susanna.
I think what I always think is a very good thing at the end is like to reflect on what we did in, like, personally, what we did in all the modules, like having time, like 5 or 10 minutes, just to reflect individually, because that's what I personally, I think, okay, I have to think of after the class. What have I learned? What are the ideas? What did I collect and all that stuff? And what's the network? But I usually then, like, already at the next day, so okay, I have other things to do and I will do it when there is enough time. And to have the time of reflection at the end of the course, it's always very valuable to me, because then, well, it's actually very easy. Maybe there are some questions left, maybe is an idea how to proceed. And what's for me, I think there is one info, what is going on afterwards, what is the next step, what could be the next step for us after this. I mean, it's leading Prosocial, I think that's the next course, or getting a facilitator, like this, all these information, what could be the next for us after this class. But nothing special, but yeah, important information if you want to stick with the Prosocial, also with the Prosocial community.
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Any more ideas?
I would love to see one diagram maybe that shows how all the tools that we have seen hangs together.
Good idea.
I know this is not possible because there's so many tools, but something.
Diagram with all the tools.
And
I think we even have one where a lot of tools are in it. There's one somewhere.
So along the same lines, I'm very curious about how you, what tools you're using to measure progress, and if you're using anything to do with social network analysis. Very curious about that. Or has anybody in the community done that before? So how you measure progress, other than just, mapping it on the 4x4. Very curious.
Tools to measure, and what was the example you gave, Camille? What was that?
Social network analysis. I'm wondering if anybody in the community at large is doing a project using that as a measure of what's going on in the dynamic of a group, or what's the progress in terms of how people are changing their culture. What's the dynamic? But in general, how you measure stuff. Because I feel that one, in the first homework, it was like, what do you need? And I'm like, well, I think I have been the victim of sloppy feedback and I want clean feedback for once, I mean, we get sometimes, well, certainly I got strange feedback from my family and I had to go elsewhere to get rational feedback. As a consultant, the feedback you get is also, you don't get to see the whole picture sometimes, you don't see the results. And as an employee, you're getting feedback sometimes on your performance based on, in my case, CEOs who were totally not aligned with their mission. In fact, they were fraudulent, So it's like, I need clean feedback. So what are the tools? Of course, I need to ask better questions. For that, I need to get out of my head sometimes, right? So all the exercise we did on the personal level, but also, are there tools that will help me measure what's going on more objectively that can reinforce me?
Yeah, I'm going to call them evidence-based tools.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Any suggestions so we all want to learn more information and help to consolidate. That's what I'm hearing. And maybe apply. How about celebrate? Anything to any activity we can do to come together as individuals, maybe bring something from our culture. Food. We can't bring food. That would be a nice one. We could each bring something actually and share maybe, and from our culture, or something that feels like a kindergarten show and tell. Here's my little, I don't know. Here's my stuffy. But we could. That would be some idea to just kind of bring us more together as individuals from different cultures in this group.
I was just thinking, courses like this always begin like with the introduction of myself, and maybe we could do something like this in the end, like being in a group of two, and explore more about each other and present that in the whole plenum in the end, because I mean, we don't really know each other, but we spend some time together, and maybe the perception of everyone changed during the course, and maybe we could change, like turn this way of getting in contact, connecting with each other, the other way around, not in the beginning, but in the end, and to find like the hidden spots, the little nice things, something like this. And of course, the time for celebration should be more than 2 minutes. And I know, like trainings and workshops, in the end, it's like only like 2 minutes, and everyone is clapping. Is bye bye. It's nice. There should be a little bit more, maybe with some music. We could share music, like prefer music, and have a common music list in the end, like the Prosocial course music list or something. So we can take it with us.
How about we bring a photo of our favorite food?
That's a good idea.
Bring and show. Yeah. Show our favorite. I think good. We have lots of proposals here. Anything else anyone wants to add? Okay, I was gonna share them all with you here in the chat. Hopefully I've captured the gist of what you presented.
Yes, and then we go around. And then
one thing I would add, looking at the list, is like a commitment. So like for me, commitments are important. So we had all these modules, we learned all these lessons. What's one commitment or takeaway that you're gonna take from the vast amount of experience, and how are you going to apply it? So I think, you know, it's a lot of learning, but the practical application piece of applying, and how are you going to, what's your one commitment to yourself or to others that you're going to take away from what we learn?
Thank you.
Yes. That is a great one. So adding that.
So if you like, we can listen to the wisdom of the group and go around, and you can look at the list and then speak from your heart and say, well, this idea really speaks to me, or these 2 ideas or these 3 ideas I really want to have yeah, used next time. So I'll just ask each of you how you feel about this list. And I start with the person who lifts the hand first. Who would like to go first? Stefan. Okay. What does do you have resonance with?
So you want to ask me if I have some doubts about something, or you want to?
No, just your thoughts. The first round is just an opinion round. It's just about, yeah, I quite like this, like that. I really want to have this included, you know, something like this is the first round we usually do. It's not the decision round yet. It's only to the wisdom of the group.
I think for me, I would love to get most learning out of it. And when I hear celebration, which is great, but I'm not too keen on showing food or so, I don't know how much we learn in terms of prosocial. And I have a concern about a role play which might take a long time for little insight. Rather love to hear kind of a completion of a whole process. Maybe I'm giving more information than you're asking for right now.
I think that's quite good for the first round, and I'll pass it on to Arvi. What is your when you look at the list and listen to Stefan, what is your resonance?
For me, I also agree with Stefan. Like role playing takes a long time for sure, but it would be very interesting from my side, from my side of the thing. I would also say more like to just recall all the things that we have learned. Like for example, a diagram which says all the tools that we have learned. Like, but that's a bit difficult. But I mean, in the sense of having an overview of all the modules that we have done, because we started from a very individual. Now we are at a point where we are trying to make decisions as a whole group and connecting to the other groups. So in a way, it is a huge thing, but maybe we could summarize it into very short summarized version of each of the modules, and just kind of reflect on how we felt and what are the takeaways that we had from every person. Maybe I combined 1 or 2 list of the things, I mean, but I mean that would be something interesting.
Thank you. Tanuja, would you share your thinking when you listen to your speakers before and look at the list?
So combining a little bit, can I just say what I got so much out of each of the tools is, so for example, just the consent today. Consent and voting are sort of default models now everywhere. Even inside families, it sort of gets, you know, there's some form of consent going on. What I did not realize are the effects of consent, you know? So creating the transparency around the effects of the choices we make is so important, especially if we are the leaders in a community. You know, because the effects of what we do lasts much longer than the decision itself. So to me, that was amazing. And that is also why I asked for kind of a picture of where all the tools sit, because I want to see what is the impact of what I do. You know?
Okay. So when you listen to all of this, Susanna, what is your resonance?
I had a huge resonance with the role play, because I'm not a fan of a role play at all. I don't like it, although I know it's very powerful. So I think time-wise, it's because to have like a very effective role play, it needs more. I think it needs more time. So the combination of an overview, like a picture with the overview over the whole all modules, with a summary and the reflection, like not like an extended reflection, but if we see every module with the short summary, and then I have time to reflect, I think that's a very good way for me. And I stick with the music because it's one thing I want to get out of the group. I really like it. It's so powerful. I did it with other groups, and it's just a tiny thing. Yeah, to get out of the whole course with a lot of theory, a lot of good ideas, but also with some personal stuff. That's what I really, really like, because that, and I really like what Ren said with the one commitment. I think that's a very, very powerful thing, and we can do it in a very short time. Yeah, so that's I really like that idea. Thanks for that.
Okay, Camille, you haven't had your resonance.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm really I'm with Tanuja here with the tools and evidence-based. Really get a kind of functional analysis of it and see. I love the ripple effect, the impact, and so on. And then I'm thinking, for those who are willing, can we have a sort of mailing list so we can keep in touch, see who, especially among those of you who want to pursue. It would be fun to be able to reconnect. And Tanuja, I think I want to pursue what you had proposed last time about when I said you said you took somebody out and you got great results. I want to hear about that. So stuff like that. So yeah, anybody who's willing to share their email or phone, I'm game.
Thank you. Ren, when you hear all this and read the list, what is your resonance?
So I agree with what Stefan stated. I don't think that, necessarily we have time to go like over everything. And like I think celebrations are nice, but we already have kind of limited time together already on a weekly basis. Like there's more outside work we're doing, and then we only have like the hour and a half, and I feel like um I really want to go through and connect. For me, it's like even though I'm not going to be here, but really connecting all the modules and the materials to actual practice. I'm very big on the evidence-based practice and measurement of applied material to see, what is the success, what is the efficacy of the material that we're using, and the ease or not ease of utilization and application in our each individual practices, because we all have different backgrounds, from business to therapy to engineering. We all are taking this material and using it in a different sector of the world. So it's different. It's going to be applied differently based on the population that you're presenting and integrating the material to. So I'm very keen on the reviewing and the reflection of each module in the course, and then applied practice of each module. And have anybody practiced yet with the material, and how was that?
Thank you. So I will go round once again and ask you, has anything changed in your view when you listen to the others? Stefan, has anything changed for you?
I like this idea of connecting and maybe exchanging at the end, and kind of thinking about how can we as a network stay together. That was something that really brought something new to me.
Okay. Avi, has anything changed for you while listening?
It's good to have an overview of what we had before, like just having a summarized version in that case. So that's my stand.
Okay, I hope I understood correctly. Tanuja, has anything changed for you while listening?
Just that I am very impressed at how everybody is coming to this with such a broad view, a holistic view of what's going on and what they want.
Thank you. Susanna, anything changed for you?
Not really, but I really like the network list idea.
Okay.
And yeah, well, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Camille, anything that changed in your view about what we do next time together?
Yeah, I'm questioning if the hour and a half is going to be enough. Yeah, I know I just want more of this. And on the measurement thing, also very curious to pick up on what Ren said. I'm also very interested in finding out when you measure something and you find out, this is not going exactly where we were hoping it was, how then it gets adjusted and how it gets measured again. So that continuity, it would be nice. I know it's asking a lot because not everybody can do that. I know that in business they rarely do it, but that would be a special treat if we could capture that. Yeah. How evidence has been used to modify next steps in more than one cycle. Yeah.
And Ren, has anything changed for you while listening?
I think I kind of consolidated both of the questions in the beginning. So I think, just listening to everybody's input and feedback and really hearing the connection and different viewpoints, but I think there's a lot of similarities too in what we're all searching for. Has been really nice, and although it's only been 5 or 6 sessions together, I think, it would be nice to stay in contact and share with each other down the road, like, how's it going? Like, is this working? Is this module? Is this material effective? And I'm really interested in like challenges too, because it's always hard to roll out something new and more maybe innovative, especially in the culture that we have now and the world that we have now.
Yes, thank you. So when I listen to you, and I would like to invite you also, Viveka, that we as facilitators maybe can summarize what we heard from the group as their main wishes. I just say what I heard, and maybe you, because you've written it down, maybe you can add to it. So I heard what's important for most people, or all of you people, is you would like to have some sort of overview with some practical application, and you are interested in measurement and evidence, and there's this wish for connection and something personal to be shared next time. Viveka, did I get it?
Yeah, I'm writing it down. Yes, what I'm hearing, that I think the first point that you said that there is what I hear the most from each of you, that some overview or integration of each class of material, and with some application, right? How will we apply it, and can maybe even tie in that commitment that Ren suggested, and evidence-based measurements, and something personal to be shared. We have some ideas there, so from the music and food, but less time for that, it seems, from most of you. You'd more like to practice how to put this material together, and maybe examples, and then the networking. Yes, connection between the two something personal share, and then yes, the network, a list of contact. Yeah.
So if we two design the next class around these topics, are there any objections that we do it like this? Is there anything we overlooked? And now I'm going round like I would do in a decision-making process, and I ask you, Stefan, do you have any objections?
I
Not
think
sure if the
role
first
playing-
one is precise enough. Was about like opportunities for us to think ourselves in between. That was important about that.
Okay, thank
Maybe
you.
I can say that again.
Yeah, you see?
Rather than just hearing a case, it's like,
Okay.
what would you do here? And several of that. Maybe quick discussions, but like with a good pace. Otherwise, happy.
Okay, thank you. Susanna, you want to say something? Add something? No.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy with the list. Thank you.
Avi, how about you? Do you have objections?
Sorry, I guess not.
Okay. Tanuja, any objections?
No, no objections. I just want to add, if it's possible to consider alternatives, like if there is a use case, can we say if we made this choice, what would happen? If we made that choice, what would happen?
Okay. So some addition. Camille, any
So,
objection? Our
yeah,
plan?
I would combine Tanuja's recent suggestion with Stefan's to do it quick, just like, rather than role play. I think role play would be too long for this kind of a session, though role play would be great at some point. We should do more of that for sure.
Susanna, I didn't ask you probably. Do you have any objections? No.
No, I'm fine. I'm really fine. Yeah, thank you.
And Ren, do you have any objections to our plan?
No, no objections. I do like what Tanusha's saying too. Like I like flow diagrams, so that would be kind of nice. Like decision making trees are helpful, so I like what Tanusha's saying. Like if this, then this. If not this, then that. But I don't know if the prosocial material fits into a decision making tree flow diagram, but I kind of like that idea that she tossed out. Not kind of, I did.
And ultimately, can we just put all of these ideas into ChatGPT and then we don't have to take the course at all?
But we won't have the connections, which we also value.
The question is ChatGPT prosocial?
Who knows? Okay. Viveka, do you have any additions, objections, observations about how this process worked for you?
I really enjoy it. I think it's wonderful to hear everyone's ideas, suggestions, really appreciate it. And, we have a little bit of work to do to figure out how we can like put it into the class and the time we have together. But I'm wondering if there's something we may need to settle on. I think the first kind of 2 points, the overview, integration of the material, maybe diagram, maybe we can and bring in some of that evidence-based measures. We that think that's and then the contact list. I think we can easily do maybe in the chat, and everyone gets their email. But something personal, do we need to settle on that? Do we have what to share? I think we've had 2. I know we don't have to spend too much time on it. I think the proposals that have been here are music and food. Do we want to get a little more specific here, or maybe people can just choose themselves what they bring, what they share?
So I just want to finish the consent round, and we are now again in normal conversation, opening the room for.
Do we need more specificity there, Odette, or is that we just leave it at that?
I think we can just, whoever would like to share something personal, like a music or food, why not?
Okay.
Take for the check-in. We can use it.
And then
Sounds good.
curiosity. Can we hear a little bit more about how you got into this and what your path was?
Or yeah.
Me, you mean? Us too? You
Yeah.
mean? Mhm.
Yeah, we can, if there's happy to share, absolutely, and how we can maybe integrate that a little bit and
And check-in.
in the check-in time, yeah. Okay. Go ahead,
So,
Odette. Is there is this complete, Odette? The right, this is kind of great. We got a little practice of doing consent-based decision making as a group. That's wonderful. So thank you all for your participation. We have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to share the slides. See, I can always hope that something has changed. I want to give a little room for our checkout today with Ren and
Susanna.
this will be your last class. So I just have a few more points that I wanted. We could.
Stefan is putting his hand up. Stefan.
Sorry that I'm a little late. Odette, was this a specific method now, or you just demonstrated how to facilitate a conversation like this, or were you trying a specific method?
Yeah, I wanted to facilitate a consent-based decision-making round.
Got it.
With 2 opinion rounds and 1 objection round. Okay.
Okay, so yes, so that's completed that. Any other questions for Odette? Before we go ahead. So how do we then move? Okay, and here's our list that I'll compile. But just how do we take this then a decision and move into action? And Paul shared this sort of a table that is, but we can be helpful as a minimum specification to move forward. So including key goals, process and outcome goals that we are focusing on, that's the selection. What will we know? How will we know if we've been successful? What resources do we need to move to accomplish this goal? And by when will it be accomplished? And who is accountable for tracking it and reporting on it? So in this case, we just think about our inclusive decision-making process, right? That we went through today to create a meaningful sort of last becoming prosocial session, fostering integration, learning, and connection and celebration. That was our goal. We wanted to arrive at a shared plan for consent-based from this, using this method, and getting your feedback about how this was and how the last session turns out is our criteria that we can look at. How did it work or not, right? And so some resources, we will need some time. We need some stewards to guide the decision-making process. Odette did that today. We need some of your willing and active participation. And the group this will be completed by next week. And Viveka Odette will kind of track and report on it. So this is an example of how we can track a goal and its process. Now, some pitfalls that tends to happen and derail collective decision-making that I just want to emphasize, and as Paul taught, in groups, what's so common is to see power dynamics show up in various ways. These are some of those undercurrents while we appear and try to show up in very rational and sort of conscious ways, we tend to have other parts of us that also show up that we may be less aware of, and where egos get involved. Often in area of am I being seen as competent? Am I worthy? Am I lovable? These are 3 sort of streams of identity that tends to show up in our group dynamics. There can be problems around, difficulties around clarity, transparency of information. That can be we just don't have enough specificity, understanding of a process or a goal. Can be lack of a commitment and accountability that derails us because many of us are spread out and involved in various parts of life, professionally, personally. So how willing am I to commit, take on, use my energy for one particular project or goal? So we might be holding back, avoiding. We might not feel like it's fitting us really. We can, there can be a conflict, right? That just shows up and we are avoiding that. It's one of our common ways of relating to conflict is to avoid it. Other emotional dynamics, and of course, just skill gaps and unclarity about the roles. So these are, I'm sure, familiar to many of you working in groups. And one way to one quick orienting way toward when we run into problems, how then do we deal with it? Conflict resolution. And so that instead of, we tend to orient toward, point at each other. You are the problem, or they are the problem. And it is a cognitive shift to sort of think of us as our group as holding the problem together. It's our problem. And that how we make that shift when it seems so obvious to us sometimes that it's that person is the problem is often quite a challenge for our minds. And yet if I can work, what would it look like if I put the problem in the middle and this is something we all share and contribute to, and this is sort of our common enemy or common problem, because we want to make it visible. We want to make the system and the dynamic visible. One way I work with this is in emotion-focused therapy. When I work with couples where there's often where there can be high conflict, I map their system. And we use this sort of infinity symbol here. And so person A on the right-hand side, person B on the left-hand side, and I reflect their behavior, what they're doing, what they're saying, what I hear their thoughts being, and their kind of reactive and defensive emotions. And how those emotions ping persons B's, then behavior, thoughts, and feelings. And I just kind of go around a lot. Okay, so when you say and do this, you feel and this, and then that pings you in some way. And then so I can, and that we kind of just draw out the pattern. And and when we've done that, when we make that scene, we actually stabilize the system and we help create this reflective, shared perspective on the problem. And then we can deepen a little, because then people have felt heard. They get more of their prefrontal cortex sort of online. They feel safer. They feel heard and understood. And they can actually decenter a little bit. And then you can access usually more primary emotions, which I'm not going to go into the details, and their attachment needs. And similar things happen in groups. Their primary needs and how to make it safe for them to come out. Because there's always some underlying identity, current, or need that we may not tap into unless we've developed enough safety and reflection of the system and the problem. So just as an idea for how we're working with groups. And when it comes to then the action learning, you may not see it, but the framework for that, just we try to take an action, right, or a goal. We carry it out. We reflect on what happened, how did it go, what worked, what didn't work. We theorize about that and why it worked or didn't work and how it could be made different, better. Refine it, we plan that, and we do it again. And this is really the process for action. Right? This is where we need to go out and do and implement with our hands and feet, not just with our minds. And that's how learning deepens. And we move as a group. Okay, that's a little some last points here. And Stefan, a quick note from you before we wrap up and hear from Susanna.
The same as a systemic loop, Viveka, the one you just showed?
doesn't come from systemic consensus, if that's what you were thinking, Stefan.
No,
It's
systemic loop, like checking
systemic
one's
system.
assumptions again, and then taking new action.
That's very, very possible. I'm not really familiar with the particular terminology there, Stefan, but very likely that's I drew from some other theories. All right. Want to just have a chance for Susanna and Ren to share any thoughts and reflections, maybe a commitment that each of you have, of how you'd like to, of how this material, this course, this learning has been for you, and what's one thing you take with you that you'd like to try to build on and implement. How about you go, Ren?
So overall, I felt the course was very nice. Like, I appreciate the connections and the conversations that we've had as a group. In retrospect, like, I wish that the time we had together on the Zoom was longer and that we had more time to have these deeper conversations and connect on the material. I like to have discussions on the material, so like looking at it from different perspectives and people's inputs, and then building off different concepts and ideas that get brought up, like Tanusha and Camille. They bring up good points, everybody in the group step on, and then we're able to dialogue more on those ideas, and it brings more wealth and depth of conversation. But overall, I thought it facilitated very well the course. I truly enjoyed it. Something that I'm going to take away is really practicing the moving towards and moving away, the cognitive behavioral essentially model, and implementing that in my groups where we actually map it together. So I'm going to really try that, and then taking the feedback from that.
Thank you, Ren. We really enjoyed to have you with us here. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
How about you, Susanna?
Yeah, I feel really happy. I went on this journey, and it's only the beginning. That's what I guess. I wrote my master thesis about it because my cousin is at university in Finland. He's researching about prosocial in the corporate world. So that's why Prosocial came to me. He said, "Oh, you need to read the book," and I did my master thesis about it, and it's the right way for me. So yeah, and what I really like is the science behind it. Everything is evidence based, and that's what really what's important for me, because there is a lot of ways to facilitate groups, and there's a lot of, in the beginning, I have to commit. It looks a bit esoteric, and all the colors and hippie way, blah blah blah. And I said, oh no. And then I got into it, and I was really convinced about the way. And it's a broad. It widened my horizon. So, and at the same time, I feel what I said in the beginning. I already do a lot in a prosocial way, but now I know what I do, and that it's something behind, and it feels so good. And I'm feeling I'm just at the beginning of it. I'm really interested to get a facilitator and what's the way to get there. And that I told you in the beginning, I want to learn about the German speaking network, because there's so much power in all of this. And at the same time, I really enjoyed the global network we had here. I mean, we are from so many different parts of the world, and we still have the same idea and work on the same idea, what I really, really liked. And at the same time, I got so many new ideas and perspectives. So I really enjoyed it, and thank you also for all of you to bring all your ideas and the exchange we had, the deeper thoughts we had about it. There's a lot for me to learn still, and I'm really happy about it. And there was the question about the commitment. I already wrote Odette in a personal message. How can I connect with you? What's your email address? And I really want to have more of these exchanges, because I'm really interested in this network, and I hope there is a lot more coming. And I thank you, Odette and Vivica, for facilitating this course, because I learned a lot from you. I'm a facilitator myself, and it's always good to see how facilitation could look like. And I have a lot of more in my baskets carry with me for my next trainings and workshops. So thank you for that, and for the good, and also for the group. Thank you all for like sharing 1.5 hours per week. And it's sad I'm not there next week, but we'll see what the network is bringing. Thank you.
Yeah, for good reasons, Susanna. You have a workshop, and I know you have something you have to attend, Ren, so we understand. And really, it's such a pleasure to have you here, Susanna, and as well. And for both of you, with your contribution, it's really valuable. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I miss you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
If we decide to prolong the next session like in 2 hours, I could join for the last 30 minutes, because my workshop is finished at the same time as this course. So let me know.
Yeah.
I have one more question. How long do we have access to the material on the platform? Is there any end of it, or do we have it like?
I need to ask. Let me ask Susan Soleil and others, and how long you have access to it. I'll let you know. I'll send it in your discussion there. I can do it.
Okay.
That's my question as well, because otherwise I need to start pulling all this stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Good question. I should clarify that. I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And I will run over a little bit. Such a joy to be with you all today, and thanks for your participation. And we'll wrap it up next week.
Thank you.
Have fun. Enjoy it.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
See you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.